In today's episode, Ken reflected on 25 years in business. From early wins to hard setbacks and rebuilding, he reminded us that resilience and hard work separate potential from results. Long-term success comes from consistency, reliability, and a strong work ethic. Tune in and subscribe for more insights on business and leadership.
I wanted to share a little bit about, you guys ever hear this saying, it's not hard you get hit, but it's how hard you can get hit and keep on moving forward. Yeah, it's a Rocky quote. Nice. Good. So we've all seen it. You guys may not know, but I've gotten hit a few times. And I've gotten hit hard a few times. So I saw a lot of success early in my career. First year running an office, I did 1.2 million in business, 23 years old. You own a business that does over $1 million. Your life changes. You go from driving grandma's piece of junk Corsica 1981 automatic seatbelt, beat up, to driving a nicer car like a BMW. You go from living in an apartment with 4 or 5 people and roommates to getting your own place and actually being the person that owns the place and people pay you rent. Things change. You get a chance to go out instead of, getting a drink or two at going out with friends. You end up being the person that gets the tab because you want to take care of your friends. And then there's something called consultant. 2006, consultant is something where you get back to this opportunity, you promote 9 or 10 offices, and you get a ton of recognition in front of, the industry. And at that point, I was the youngest consultant in this concept. In overrides, bonuses, your income changes completely overnight. Buy a first condo, there's lots of really neat things that happen. And then in 2009, I moved to California. I decided to get out of Atlanta. I moved out west, wanted to make some changes. And there's some, people in Atlanta, relationships, I'll just say, because this will be on social media, that I wanted to get away from and get around people that I wanted to be like. But at the same time, the business changed. Some clients changed. Some offices had some bad revenue years, and we had to close some offices. And I got really, really humbled, because I was on such a high. I thought I was on cloud 9. The business kind of falling apart a little bit. And out in California, it was the first time in the history of the company that I had positioned because I'd overextended myself. Our company went in the red. You guys know what it means to go in the red? It means that you have more bills than you have revenue coming in. So you're behind. Most companies start in the red. Most companies, it takes 3 to 5 years to get out of the red. In our business, if it's done properly, people never go in the red right off the bat. They actually turn a profit with the amount of salespeople they have when they open their company. Right? They move into situations where things are positive. And in 2009, 2010, I remember the day that I sat in front of my life coach, business coach, a guy named Gary. And I told him, I sat down, he said, "Hey, how are things going?" And I looked at him dead in the eye and I started bawling my eyes out. And he's like, he took a step back. I remember his face. He took his planner, his notes, all our meetings, and he kind of moved it to the side. And he kind of leaned in and he goes, "You doing okay?" And I just looked down and I was so embarrassed that I started crying in front of my mentor. And he's like, what's going on? And I told him I went in the red. We have all these offices and everything else, but I overextended myself. This was not in the back in the day where all these bonuses, all these incentives, all these things that the clients are paying us now, they are now. And I took some risks. I made some risky moves, and some of them didn't work out. And I told him that I was in the red. He just sat back in his chair and he smiled at me. And I'm like, um, and I just kind of looked at him and he goes, 10 years in, this is the first time you've ever gone in the red? Wow, that's awesome. And he's like, I lived in the red my first 10 or 15 years in business. I lived because I was, yeah, his company was a printing company. He worked with big companies like Paramount and Disney, where although he made $100,000 every project he did, he didn't get paid on those projects until 90 days later. So he had to pay his payroll for his people for 60, 90 days. And then he got payment. And although he turned a profit on that project, he was paying out money before he was receiving money. It was a constant, game to stay ahead. And then I started to realize that, again, it's not how hard you get hit. It's how hard you get hit and you keep moving forward. And then in 2013, as my wife and I were getting married and we started thinking about having a family, I got punched even harder. And I heard the news that my mom had cancer. A few months later, I heard my father had cancer. And I got punched again. And, unfortunately, my parents lost their battle to cancer, year or two later. And I kept getting punched. My wife and I wanted to have children. Didn't work out a lot. Kept getting punched. And we decided, and over the course of years, and doing the business and building a business and being an entrepreneur, I kept remembering it's not how hard you get punched. It's not how hard you get hit. It's about moving forward. And in 2018, my wife basically bottom lined me. She said, are you going to start doing the work? Are you going to start doing the things that you need to do to build the business that we can build? Or are you going to tell the boys about the life they could have had in 10 years? Because I'm not going to do that. That shit's on you. And I took a step back and I started to realize that I was tired of being average. I was tired of getting punched. I was tired of being reactive. I was tired of not living the life that I truly knew I could live. I knew I could live the life and be the person that I needed to be to build the business that we needed to have and build the opportunity to give back to people like I wanted to do. And it's funny because this all got triggered in me a few days ago. I was on an interview and talked to candidates and things. And the candidate says to me, they said, what do you do like when you just kind of wake up and you just don't feel it? Like, what do you do? And I said to the kid, and I don't know if we're going to even give him a chance if he asked me that question. But I said, excuse me? I said, ask me that again. So I want to make sure I heard you right. He said, what do you do if you just don't feel good? You don't feel it. And I said to him, and who knows if he heard me, but I said, I'm past that. I feel it every day. I feel the responsibility to come through for my family every single day. I don't wake up and don't feel good. I wake up and I fight. I wake up and sit in this ice bath behind my laptop every day, 40 degrees. I hate every minute of it, that ice bath. I wake up and I hit the gym, even when I don't feel it. I wake up and attack my goals every day because I don't have time anymore. I'm older than most of you guys. At some point, you're going to wake up and you're going to realize that time is limited. And you're either going to start living the life you want to live and hitting the goals that you deserve to hit, or you're going to keep blaming others for your fucking bullshit that you're going through. You're going to start taking responsibility for what you have and start taking responsibility for what you don't have and start doing something about it. And listen, most of you guys are going to just be a part of this opportunity for a period of time. And you're going to be a part of it. You're going to learn some skills. You're going to gain some incredible information, knowledge. You're going to be around success. You're going to be around multimillionaires that are building things, making a difference, coming through for their communities, changing the lives of kids on the soccer field or basketball field or the football field. You're going to be around us for a period of time. And then you're going to go off and work in other companies. And you're going to work in other organizations. And you're going to start seeing what corporate America is like. And you start seeing what it's like to work in a company that has no opportunity, that lays you off 20 years in because some corporate person that doesn't know you makes a change. And then you're going to think back about, man, I wonder what those guys and those girls are doing that are in that sales company. And if you stay friends on Facebook or social media, you'll probably see it. And you'll see the big checks. You'll see the travel. You'll see people living the life they want to live. You'll see people. I had somebody on my Facebook about 3 years ago said, oh my God, Ken, you're really doing it. You're going to every World Cup. You told us about that when I was in your office. Dude, that's so awesome. And I was nice. I was like, hey, thanks so much. But I say a lot of crazy shit. But I back it up with my work ethic. I'm 46 years old. Some of you guys didn't even know that. I'm 25 years into this industry. And I still wake up with passion. I still wake up with this unbelievable urgency to accomplish things. Some of you guys yesterday, feedback in the stores is you cared more about looking at your cell phone than you did about like accomplishing your goals. Some people drove to the wrong store yesterday, even though I told them what store they're going to, and to call the person to make sure they're going to meet him there. It's crazy. And the challenge we all have is the opportunity is not for everyone. That's the challenge. But it can be for everyone. That's the interesting thing. We have every walk of life running an office. We have every walk of life in our offices. Just some people choose to make the changes and to learn the system. I asked somebody yesterday in my office who is a quote unquote promoting leader. And to my eyes, they're not really a promoting leader because they're not teaching systems, because it all catches up with people and they don't have systems. Tell me the 4, 5s, and 8s. Like, tell me the 4, 5s, and 8s. And they couldn't literally tell me the 4, 5s, and 8s. That your future is limited if you don't know the system, if you don't live the system. And these are things I teach my kids. I teach my kids the 8 great work habits. I teach them to be prepared. I teach them to have and maintain a great attitude. These are life skills. I talked to my buddy Sean yesterday, who's going to ref the Super Bowl, and we're talking about his family and his kids. We're talking about the portal and how kids don't know what resilience is. They don't know how to take a punch. Because right now in college football, they take a punch, the coach is hard on them, and next thing you know, they're in the portal the next day and they're leaving instead of fighting for their spot. And I share this with you guys, and not I hope you guys don't take it the wrong way. I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, Ken is crazy. But I'm trying to talk to your heart. I'm trying to talk to this inside. Because again, 15, 20 years from now, you're going to either have control over your life or a business is going to have control over you. I've seen it. I've seen it. You know, it's crazy to me. Like it's just my kids. It's interesting because I think they think everyone lives like my wife and I. Like my kids get frustrated if I'm not here in the afternoon at 4 o'clock to take them to speed and agility. What they don't know is I built a business of passive income where I can be anywhere in the world as long as I have my cell phone and my laptop, and I'm still making money. I'm still helping people. I'm not tied down to a desk. I'm not tied down to a cubicle. And you don't get that type of freedom if you don't help people, if you don't first become an example worth following. And again, some of you guys in your early 20s, you can do the things that I've done in 25 years in 10, in 5. There's people in our industry that we just had a conference at are literally accomplishing some of the things that I'm just starting to accomplish 22 years in. And I'm really happy for them because the business is so much better. So much better. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what you want. What you want. In our office, we have tiers of leadership where we have like tier 1, tier 2, tier 4, whatever. And to move through these tiers of leadership, a lot of it has to do with just being reliable, being dependable, living the 8 great work habits, producing on a daily basis. And I'll tell you, if people don't do those things, I know I have 7 new starts planned for Monday because I'm looking for people to do those things. And the reality is of all business, all sports teams, like again, my son was at this ID tryout last night. They said, hey, existing players, just want to make sure you guys know. I know some of you guys are planning for next season. Continue practicing on your teams. For all you guys that are not existing players, which was about 30 players, just so you know, we're going to be evaluating you and we'll be bringing you in to replace some of our weakest links on our existing team. And that's business. That's what I do every week. Currently speaking, we have 34 stores or 32 stores that Ben and I share, something like that. At some point, that's going to max out. So there's going to be people in my office this week that are under $600 in business that I'm going to tell them, hey, you can't work Thursday through Saturday. Like I can't have you in the store if you're not performing. The store is too valuable. The store there's a certain amount of revenue that it generates for the business and for the client. If you're not able to accomplish those goals, then no worries. We can only have you part-time. But I hope you guys hear me. I really, really hope you guys hear the message. You will get hit. You will get punched. You will get knocked down. Every successful person has. Every single one. If they haven't, if people get it too quickly and they don't get punched, they lose it. They don't appreciate it. I've seen that over and over in my career, 20-some years. But if you get punched and you got to fight for it, for those of us that have gotten punched and have accomplished big things, we respect it. We know that you're building the right habits to have a long-term successful life. So you guys have an amazing Saturday. Again, remember, the most important customer you come across is the one that says no. If it's your first day, please hang back. Remember, you never know what people are going through. Be kind to people. Give them a smile. If they don't have a smile, give them one of yours. Remember, the hardest door to open is your car door. And for those of you guys that are taking this thing serious and are sitting in the parking lot, kudos to you. You're starting your day on the right note. For those of you that are still at home waiting around, you got to catch up. There's others that are already making choices to get busy. So you guys have an amazing day. Again, week 1's hang back, and let's have a killer day.